You know that incredibly common, slightly eerie experience almost anyone with a pet has had at some point.
Oh, yeah. The unblinking stare from across the room.
Right. You're sitting on your couch late at night, maybe reading a book or, watching a show, and you suddenly get that unmistakable prickle on the back of your neck,
And you look up, and there they are,
just sitting there, staring at you,
right?
unblinking, completely still. And usually we laugh it off, right?
Yeah, we think they're just spacing out, or maybe hoping dinner comes early.
Exactly. We project our own mundane, everyday motivations onto them without a second thought.
Which is such a mistake. Because viewing them through a human lens is, well, it's our default setting, obviously. We assume they're just operating on this basic schedule of naps and meal cycles.
Totally oblivious to what's really going on.
Right. Completely oblivious to the intense cognitive processing that is actually happening behind those eyes.
But today, we are jumping into something that completely shatters that assumption. So welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
For anyone out there looking to truly decode the hidden dynamics of their own home and maybe, achieve that mind-blowing aha moment today, you are in exactly the right place.
Absolutely.
We are pulling from this absolutely fascinating video by the Bipedal Cat Bureau, and our mission today is to translate the secret language of cats.
Because it turns out, when your cat is sitting there staring at you across the living room, they aren't just lounging.
No, they are actively studying you. They are, to borrow this really striking concept from the source material, building a map of your soul.
I love that phrase.
Yeah.
It's such a profound way to look at it.
Yeah.
And it entirely raises the stakes of our everyday interactions, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Because we humans tend to think we're doing an exceptional job if we simply provide the physical basics, right? We buy the premium grain-free food.
We meticulously scoop the litter box.
Exactly. We have a basket overflowing with expensive feathered toys. And we pat ourselves on the back thinking, well, we are fulfilling all their needs.
But we completely miss the psychological signals.
We do. We provide a physically comfortable environment, but we totally neglect to establish psychological safety.
I think of it like living with a tiny, incredibly observant anthropologist.
That is a great analogy.
Right, because they are taking meticulous mental notes on your every single move. They know exactly how your keys jingle when you're frantically rushing out the door stressed.
Oh, they definitely know.
And they recognize the specific, heavy cadence of your footsteps down the hallway when you've had a long, exhausting day versus like your relaxed weekend stride.
Yeah, they miss nothing.
And while they're gathering all these microscopic behavioral observations about you, they're waiting. They're waiting for you to demonstrate these silent signals that prove you actually respect them.
And that they are truly safe in what is ultimately a shared territory.
Right. Let's unpack that spatial dynamic because it fundamentally changes how we view our homes.
It's the foundational layer. You cannot establish psychological safety without first securing the physical environment.
So think about the classic scenario. You walk into your kitchen, and there's the boss of the house.
Sitting right on top of the refrigerator.
Or perched precariously on the absolute highest bookshelf in the living room, looking down at you like a gargoyle.
And our typical human reaction is immediate correction. We point, we clap, we shoo them down.
Which, okay, let me play the role of the frustrated listener for a second here. What if I just don't want cat fur all over my clean kitchen plates?
That's completely reasonable.
Right. Like, am I a terrible person for enforcing basic hygiene and telling them to get off the counters?
No, not at all. It's a completely fair boundary. And you certainly aren't a bad person for wanting a sanitary kitchen.
Okay, good.
But the disconnect happens between your human intention and the cat's deeply ingrained biological imperative.
Because they aren't just trying to be annoying.
Exactly. When a cat climbs up on that refrigerator, they aren't doing it to be rebellious. They aren't trying to break your household rules. They are executing a survival program that is literally millions of years old.
Millions of years old. That really puts it in perspective.
You have to remember their evolutionary history. The ancestors of our domestic cats were small desert predators, which meant they were hunters, yes, but they were also prey for larger animals.
So they were on the menu, too.
Right. So in the wild, for a creature of their size, height isn't a luxury. It's not a status symbol. It is life insurance.
Life insurance. Wow, that reframes it completely.
Yeah.
So when I'm shooing them off the counter, I'm not correcting bad behavior. I'm inadvertently canceling their policy.
Precisely. Being high up gives them a massive tactical advantage. It allows them to visually scan their entire environment and spot a potential threat long before that threat spots them.
It gives them a buffer.
Yeah, a buffer of time to react. So when you reach up and yank a cat down from that high spot, you are enforcing your very valid human hygiene rules. But what you are accidentally communicating to the cat's nervous system is that their deep instinctual need for safety simply doesn't matter to you,
You're stripping away their security blanket.
and forcing them back into a vulnerable position.
Okay, so the challenge for you, the listener, is finding a compromise where the kitchen stays clean, but the cat keeps their life insurance.
Right, negotiating the territory.
The solution here from the Bipedal Cat Bureau is creating a legal high space. If the fridge and the counters are off limits, you have to offer a better alternative.
You have to give them an out.
Yeah, so you clear off the top of a nearby cabinet that doesn't hold anything important and you put a cozy blanket up there. Or you invest in a really tall, sturdy cat tree.
But you have to put it in a prime location, not hidden in a back room.
Right where the action is. You make it an officially sanctioned throne.
And the physiological impact of providing that sanctioned throne is remarkable.
Does it really change their behavior that much?
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
When you give a cat a respected vantage point, a place where they know with absolute certainty they won't be chased off or bothered, their baseline cortisol levels drop almost instantly.
That's wild. Just from having a high shelf.
Yeah, you will see profound behavioral shifts. Cats that previously spent all day hiding under the guest bed will suddenly spend their afternoons out in the open.
Because they finally have a fortress.
Exactly.
Right.
They can survey their world without the constant hum of ambient anxiety.
So once you've secured the environment and their ambient anxiety drops, their focus naturally shifts from surviving the room to navigating the massive, unpredictable creature moving around inside it.
Which is you.
Which is you, yes. And that's when they start testing the floor space, which leads to one of the most misunderstood interactions in the entire human-feline relationship, the art of doing nothing.
Oh, this is a big one.
Right. This happens when your cat wanders into the room and decides to sit just a few feet away from you. They aren't touching you. They aren't meowing for food.
They're just existing in your general orbit.
Which is an incredibly loaded moment in feline psychology, but one that humans almost universally misinterpret.
Because our primate nature kicks in instantly.
Yeah. It really does. If something cute is sitting nearby, our primate brains light up and we think, oh, they want attention.
And we immediately reach out.
Yeah, we reach our hands out to pet them or scoop them up or scratch their ears. But imagine if you had a roommate or a friend who came over to hang out, and every single time you sat down on the couch to simply relax, this person immediately leaned over and started rubbing your shoulders or poking you or grabbing your arm.
It would be incredibly socially exhausting.
It would be a nightmare. Why do humans feel this overwhelming, almost compulsive need to constantly physically handle animals?
Well, it comes down to how different species bond. We are primates. And primates use physical touch as the primary mechanism for social cohesion.
Like grooming.
Right. We groom each other, we hug, we pat each other on the back to show affection and build trust. But cats operate on a completely different social operating system.
They aren't primates.
No. In the feline world, physical contact is incredibly intimate. And more importantly, it's highly vulnerable. When a cat chooses to sit 3 feet away from you and close their eyes, that is a massive compliment. They are actively testing your self-control.
So they're basically asking, can I trust this giant creature to let me drop my guard in their presence without being immediately grabbed or interrupted?
Precisely.
So by ignoring them, we are actually proving we have the emotional regulation they need to feel safe.
Yeah.
The takeaway for the listener is wonderfully simple, yet it goes against all our instincts. Just do nothing. Let the silence settle in the room. Don't reach your hand out. Don't make kissy noises. Just let them be near you.
This taps into the core psychology of animal trust. When you resist that primate urge to reach out, you prove to your cat that your behavior is predictable.
And predictability is key.
Across the entire animal kingdom, predictability equals safety. Unpredictability requires constant vigilance, which is just exhausting.
So if they learn that sitting near you doesn't automatically trigger a barrage of physical handling, their nervous system can finally relax.
Ironically, respecting that invisible boundary of personal space is exactly what guarantees they will eventually choose to close that distance themselves.
Because they aren't looking for a smothering hug.
No, they are looking for a reliable partner.
Okay, so if they're looking for a partner and we're supposed to just chill and let them come to us, how do we actually bridge the gap when they are finally ready?
That's the next test.
Right. When they finally stand up, stretch, and walk over to you, what is the actual right move?
Well, that requires checking our human social norms at the door.
Hmm.
Because how we initiate contact can either build on that trust or instantly destroy it.
So let's examine the standard human greeting. A cat walks up, and we usually bring our massive hands swooping down right onto the top of their head for a vigorous scratch.
Which is terrifying if you think about it.
It is. Think about the physical dynamics of that. Imagine going to a coffee shop to meet a casual acquaintance, right? And instead of a polite wave from across the table, this person sprints up and wraps you in a crushing, uninvited bear hug before you can even say hello.
That sudden, overwhelming engulfment is exactly what a swooping head scratch feels like to a cat.
Because we're just so huge compared to them.
It's entirely overwhelming, and it's largely because of how they process sensory information. Humans navigate the world primarily through sight. We assess the situation visually before we engage.
But cats don't do that.
No, cats navigate their world primarily through scent. Their olfactory system is astonishingly complex. Their sense of smell is estimated to be 14 times stronger than ours.
14 times?
Yeah, and they have specialized scent glands on their cheeks, their chins, their paws. When a cat is encountering you, they aren't just looking at you. They are attempting to read a dense chemical biography of where you've been, what you've touched, and what your emotional state might be.
Wow. So we need to stop with the giant, unannounced bear hugs and switch to a more refined approach, something the source material calls the feline handshake.
Yes, it's a highly specific biological ritual.
And you should be using this every single time you greet a cat. Here is what you do. You extend one single finger, and you hold it completely still about 2 inches away from their nose.
And then you freeze.
You freeze. You don't wiggle it around. You definitely don't try to boop their nose.
No booping.
You don't lean in. You just wait.
It is a brilliant psychological exercise in restraint. In those crucial 2 seconds, your stationary finger acts as a scent post. You are allowing them the time and space to take in your chemical profile without feeling threatened.
But there's a deeper psychological mechanism at play here, too. Right?
Absolutely. Agency. If the cat leans forward and deliberately bumps their wet nose against your stationary finger, that is their definitive green light.
The green light.
Yes. They have processed your information, decided you are safe, and are actively returning the greeting.
That green light is everything. But wait, what if they just lean in, give your finger a long sniff, and casually walk away?
Then you let them walk away without taking it personal.
Which is hard for us.
It is. But this dynamic reveals a crucial element of the human-feline power structure. By giving them those 2 seconds of absolute control over whether an interaction occurs or not, you instantly become the most respectful, polite entity in their environment.
You're speaking their language of consent fluently.
Exactly.
But giving them agency over the greeting is really just the first step in neutralizing this weird, unbalanced power dynamic we have with our pets. Because to truly build the deep connection we were talking about today, the physical gap isn't just about horizontal distance. It's about vertical scale.
Yes, which means you actually have to change your entire physical presence in the room.
It requires a major shift in how we perceive ourselves within our own homes.
It really does.
Think about how you exist in your house on a daily basis. You are almost always looking down at your cat. To them, you are a titan. You are this massive, lumbering column walking around the house.
Casting a huge shadow.
Right. But let me channel the listener again and push back on the logistics of this. The source says we look like a threat, and getting down on the floor with them bridges that gap. But honestly, does getting down on the floor really make a physiological difference to the cat's brain? Or does it just make my knees hurt for no practical reason?
Well, the knee pain is a real concern, obviously.
Very real.
But biologically speaking, lowering your elevation makes a profound difference in how their amygdala processes your presence.
The fear center.
Right. If you look at the predator-prey dynamics of the broader animal kingdom, anything that towers over you, and particularly anything that casts a shadow from above, is inherently categorized as a potential threat.
Because danger comes from the sky.
Exactly. For a small mammal, a hawk, an eagle, a larger predator striking downwards. Size and height dictate dominance and trigger defensive reflexes.
So even if I'm holding a treat, I'm still terrifying.
When you are standing, you are inherently imposing a dominant predator-like silhouette, regardless of how softly you speak.
Okay, so there is an actionable magic trick here from the Bipedal Cat Bureau, and I highly encourage you, the listener, to try this today. Commit to sitting flat on the floor for just 10 minutes.
Just 10 minutes.
And the crucial part is your intention. You aren't getting on the floor to play with them, wave a wand toy around, or force a cuddling session. You are getting on the floor just to exist at their height.
You can read a book on the floor.
Scroll through your emails on the floor, fold a basket of laundry sitting cross-legged.
The environmental transformation that happens when you do this is remarkable to witness. By simply lowering your physical profile and eliminating that overhead shadow, you strip away the inherent boss dynamic.
You temporarily demote yourself.
Yes, to appear. When a cat sees that this giant titan is willing to voluntarily make themselves smaller and more vulnerable, their natural curiosity overrides their caution.
The ambient tension in the room just dissipates.
They become noticeably more relaxed, and they are far more willing to expose their own vulnerabilities to you because you are no longer looming over them.
You're finally visiting their world instead of constantly forcing them to operate at a disadvantage in yours. It's such a simple shift in physical elevation, but it completely rewrites the energy in the room.
It's incredibly powerful.
And once you've successfully met them on their physical level and you are existing comfortably as a peer, you suddenly realize that they have been trying to meet you on a conversational level this entire time.
Which brings us to the final and, frankly, most profound revelation regarding how these animals attempt to bridge the gap between our two species.
This is the part of the deep dive that really blew my mind, because it involves a sound we hear every single day. Listen to this. Adult cats do not meow at each other.
It is a stunning behavioral fact that the vast majority of pet owners simply do not know.
It is completely wild. When adult cats communicate with each other in the wild or in feral colonies, it's this complex system of body language, subtle ear movements, scent marking, and, maybe some aggressive hissing or deep yowling during a territorial dispute.
But not meowing.
No, that standard, everyday meow you hear when you walk into the kitchen in the morning. That is a vocalization they invented entirely specifically for humans.
It's incredible.
Think about the gravity of that for a second. Imagine someone spending years observing you, learning an entirely new, complex, foreign language just to bridge an impossible gap and speak to you. And when they finally say hello, you just stare blankly at them.
Or worse, you get annoyed and tell them to be quiet.
Right.
It is an absolute tragedy of miscommunication. They have spent thousands of years living alongside us, observing us, and they realize that we are highly dense, vocal creatures.
We're very noisy.
We rely primarily on sound to communicate rather than scent or subtle body language. So they adapted their behavior to meet us where we are. That meow is a dedicated tool they developed to cross the species divide.
So they're really trying.
When they vocalize, they are actively trying to tell you they are happy, or they are bored, or they are just acknowledging that you finally walked into the room. And researchers have confirmed that cats know exactly when you are directing your speech at them.
Oh, they do?
Yes. They recognize the specific cadence, pitch, and tone of voice their owner uses exclusively for them, as opposed to how their owner speaks to other humans.
Wow. So the big takeaway here, the absolute easiest thing you can start doing today, is simply talking back to them. You don't need to be some magical pat whisperer. You don't need to know the exact English translation of their specific meow.
Just respond.
Right. When they look at you and make a sound, validate it. Just respond. Say, oh, really? Tell me more about that. Ask them how their nap in the sunbeam was. Complain to them about the annoying traffic on your commute.
It might feel a bit silly at first, but what you are fundamentally doing is validating their attempt to connect. You are acknowledging their voice.
Which changes everything.
When you respond, you transform a silent utilitarian house into a shared conversational home. And if we zoom out and connect this to the bigger picture, it is vital to remember the reality of their timeline.
The timeline, yeah.
A cat's lifespan is roughly 15 to 20 years. To us, that is just one chapter of our long lives. But to them, that is their entire universe.
Their whole life.
They experience their whole existence within the walls of your home, with you as their primary companion. Every single day of interaction matters deeply to their cognitive well-being.
They only get those 15 or 20 years. Don't let them spend their entire life waiting for a connection that you are just too busy or, too distracted to give them.
That is the ultimate takeaway. We owe them the effort of translation.
Oh, absolutely. So let's quickly trace the map we've built today for the listener. If you want to actually be the incredible person your cat thinks you are, it starts with the environment. Give them the sanctioned high ground so their ancestral instincts feel safe.
Secure the room.
Right. Once the room is secure, pass the quiet test by proving you have the self-control to respect their personal space. When they do approach, Use the single finger feline handshake to give them the chemical information and the agency they crave.
Get down on the floor to eliminate the predator's shadow.
Yes, become a true peer. And finally, when they speak that special invented language designed just for you, validate their existence and talk back. Start today. Sit on the floor, put out that one finger, wait for the green light, and just say hello.
As we wrap up this analysis, there's one final, much larger implication from the research that I think is deeply provocative.
Yo, lay it on us.
If adult cats completely invented the meow, vocalizing in a way they never naturally do with their own kind, specifically to bridge the evolutionary gap and communicate with us, it raises a really fascinating question.
What's that?
What other deeply ingrained behaviors have they evolved or adapted purely because of their coexistence with humans? If they invented an entire spoken language just for us, what other secret silent languages are they trying to use right now that we simply haven't learned to translate yet?
Oh, wow. That is an incredible thought to carry with you. They are trying so hard to reach us in a dozen different ways every single day. So later tonight, when you are sitting on the couch and you feel that heavy stare, look back at your tiny furry anthropologist. Realize they are drawing that intricate map of your soul. And now you finally know exactly how to help them fill it in. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. See you next time.